Welcome to Outside View Scandals. Today we're diving into one of the most controversial trials in history. Socrates, the man who is hailed as one of the greatest philosophers of all time. Yet, in a twist of irony, he was sentenced to death by his own city. For what, you ask? Well, the official charges were impiety and corrupting the youth of Athens. Yep. You heard that right, corrupting the youth. Because, asking questions and challenging the status quo is clearly a dangerous thing to do. At least that's what the Athenian authorities thought. But let's rewind a bit and see how Socrates managed to become the bad guy in this story. Athens at the time was this buzzing hub of ideas, democracy, and philosophy. Sounds great, right? Well, not if you were a guy like Socrates who loved to question kinda everything. He would wander around the city, engage in debates, and ask these really uncomfortable questions. So questions like, what is justice? What is virtue? And my personal favorite, what does it mean to live a good life? Those casual, everyday conversations we all have at the coffee shop or so. But here's the thing. Socrates didn't claim to have the answers. Instead, he claimed that he knew nothing. Which is funny because for a guy who knew nothing, he sure made a lot of people nervous. Especially the people in power. And the problem was that Socrates' questioning didn't stop at philosophy. He started to challenge the politics and even the gods of Athens. And you know how people get when you mess with politics and religion. So naturally, the authorities were like, yeah, no, this guy has to go. And they accused him of introducing new gods and corrupting the youth with his idea. By youth, they basically meant his followers, young men who, surprise, surprise, were also asking uncomfortable questions. The trial was, let's just say, interesting. Socrates could have easily saved himself. He could have begged for mercy, apologized, or even proposed exile. But no, not our guy Socrates. He doubled down. He stood there and said, yeah, I'm not going to stop philosophizing. In fact, you should thank me for it. That's like standing in court today and telling the judge, actually, you're welcome. Needless to say, it didn't go over well. The jury found him guilty, and when they asked him to propose a punishment, he suggested a free meal. Yep, you heard me right. The man essentially asked for a lifetime supply of food as his punishment. I'm not saying it wasn't bold, but maybe not the best move when your life is on the line. And the jury wasn't amused. Instead of a free meal, they handed down the death penalty. By drinking hemlock, a poison that would kill him slowly and painfully. Now, let's pause for a second and think about that. A city that prided itself on democracy, freedom of speech, and intellectual discourse sentenced one of its brightest minds to death for asking questions, for encouraging young people to think. Too much irony? So Socrates' death wasn't just a personal tragedy, it was a statement. A statement about the limits of free thought and speech, even in a place like Athens. But let's not get too sentimental here. Socrates wasn't exactly a saint. He was known for being annoying. His constant questioning was like the ancient equivalent of a friend who always plays devil's advocate. And after a while, people get tired of that. But death? That seems a bit extreme, doesn't it? In the end, Socrates drank the poison surrounded by his followers. And according to Plato, his last words were about asking someone to pay off a debt he owed. A final reminder that even the greatest philosophers are still human. So what's the takeaway here? Maybe it's that questioning authority will always come with risks, or maybe it's that free meals aren't a valid legal defense. Either way, the trial of Socrates remains one of the biggest scandals in history. So thanks for watching Outside View Scandals once again, and until next time, keep questioning everything. Just maybe don't take it all the way to court. And the next video is right here in the end screen.